Ranger was patrolling the mountains when he was suddenly ambushed. He quickly pulled out his rifle and fired in the direction of the attack. Then, he tore off his bright jacket and hid behind a tree, but before he could catch his breath, a sharp pain knocked him to the ground. Seeing the enemy closing in, James didn't dare hesitate. He gritted his teeth, broke off the arrow, and forced himself to run. Strangely, the mysterious attacker didn't chase after him. As James moved through the woods, he spotted a car hidden among the trees. Carefully, he approached and looked around. The attacker was nowhere to be seen. Taking the chance, James marked the car and slipped away. Back home, he quickly treated his wound. He had waited 5 years for this moment, searching for his missing daughter, and that man, he might be the key to everything. James checked his surveillance cameras, hoping to find a clue. Then, his heart stopped. On the screen, the attacker was chasing a girl. A flood of memories hit James. Without a second thought, he grabbed his gear and rushed out the door. But as soon as he entered the forest, an ambush was waiting. Luckily, he was prepared. The attacker wore a ghillie suit, blending perfectly into the surroundings. James reached into his bag, pulled out a can of paint, and hurled it into the air. The paint splashed all over the attacker, forcing him to retreat. James fired his gun, but the man was too fast. He watched helplessly as the figure vanished into the trees. James pressed on, following the trail to a river bank. He was about to rest when he saw something white near the shore. A closer look, it was the girl. She had collapsed from exhaustion. With no time to waste, James lifted her up and carried her away. His wounds slowed him down, and by the time they reached his cabin, it was night. But before they could even catch their breath, the attacker struck again. He had been hiding in the house all along. The girl grabbed the rifle and fired a shot, forcing him back. But in her panic, she missed every shot. Out of bullets, she was cornered. The attacker raised his bow, slowly walking toward her. Just then, a passing cop heard the gunshots. She found the door open and stepped inside. The girl lay motionless on the floor, and James, just waking up, was immediately mistaken for the attacker. He tried to explain, but the cop's gun was already aimed at him. Then, something caught her eye. The real attacker made a familiar motion. Her body froze. Only she knew what that meant. It was her brother. Hesitation flickered in her eyes. Then, she turned and fired at James. James dodged and bolted downstairs. The cop chased after him, but triggered a trap. Her legs snapped under her weight, leaving her unable to move. James didn't waste a second. He jumped into a car and sped off toward his ex-wife's house. Her husband, a fellow officer, knew James well. He didn't believe he was a killer, but with a warrant out for James' arrest, he had no choice but to hide him in a safe house. He called in a medical friend to treat James' wounds. Meanwhile, he launched his own investigation, and soon, he uncovered something strange. The cop's brother, he had an alibi. Now, the trail was cold again. Frustrated, James stepped out for air. That's when he saw it, a familiar car. His heart pounded. Rushing over, he peered inside. An elderly man sat behind the wheel. Not the attacker. James asked about the car. The old man said his neighbor often borrowed it. James' blood ran cold. He sprinted toward the mountain cabin. Breaking in, he found no one inside. But in the basement, tools, chains, dozens of photos on the wall, missing girls, and among them, his daughter. Grief and rage crashed over him. Then, a shadow moved behind him. The attacker was here.